Now, the most live, local talk with Melody Burns.
All right, so welcome back. We're going to talk to Viola-Straight. She's in the studio with us today. We're going to talk about Military Awareness Day. That I think is like Michelle's brainchild. Am I right? Isn't it?
Yes.
That's what I thought.
Yes.
Yeah, so you're doing that at Crossgates, but we need to let you know that Michelle is she's a two blue star mom, blue star, whatever we'll call her. So she's got a Marine and she's got an Air Force.
Yes, I got two. I'm very, very blessed. My Marine actually just made sergeant, too.
Oh, I saw that. Yeah, congratulations.
Lots of pictures. And it was the only time we actually saw the ceremony.
Is it?
For some reason, 2-8 Battalion was always MIA. Mm-hmm. So I threatened him with bodily harm. I better get a picture. And it worked.
It did. She got some pictures, yeah. So, I mean, you very much know about the life of a military family and what happens, and then what happens when when your child is deployed. Here you are left at home and you're waiting, every day. Unfortunately, technology has changed over the years, so now you can actually hear from them, whereas years ago, you'd have to wait to get a letter, or they had to get a letter from you. So now you can at least keep up to date on what's going on.
Times have changed so much, and even with dealing with everybody down at Albany MEPS, they were awesome.
Were they? Yeah.
They helped walk you through the whole process. The Marine, he was a challenge. That was 13 weeks off the radar, and basically I used to maul the mailman on a daily basis to see what the next letter would be.
Sure.
With him, we only got one phone call home.
That was it.
The airmen, much different experience. Yeah. He got 4 or 5 calls home at great length and not as many letters. So a little bit different experience, but both just as touching. It was awesome.
Oh, sure. Yeah, that's great. Well, I mean, when you think about it, your boys go off to war. So, in a way, because we are at war. We're still at war between Afghanistan and, Iraq and what's going on. So, you never know. It's one of those things.
And that's the thing. My older one is scheduled to get out in April, and conversations last week, they're looking for people to stay in. They're looking for people to go and do more of the hot zones, quote unquote. Mm-hmm. So there definitely is the chance to be engaged.
Sure, you understand. Well, the one good thing is it's 20 years and you can retire, and
Beautiful.
And it's good. Yeah, and that's the way to do it. So and you can then. You're so young that you can start another career, and do something else. So I think that appeals to a lot of people when they look at, well, what type of job and what are the jobs that are available where I live, compared to, okay, I already have a job and I have a steady income and I've already got this much time invested, I might as well just stay and, make
the possibilities are endless. And if you want to commit to suffering, to putting yourself out there and taking yourself out of the mainstream for a while, if you work your career as a military person, the benefits are unbelievable. It's not just signing. And years ago, people used to go in because they had no other better choice, or you were a flop out of school and that was it. Now you go in, you walk out with a GI Bill. The airmen will come out with an associate's degree without even touching anything else. Right. My older one has gotten eye surgery. They want you perfect, and they will give it to you. So he's doing online classes with Hudson Valley.
Yeah.
He's actually on the dean's list, which is pretty funny.
Is
he was
really?
in Japan for 9 months.
Yeah.
And here the kid's on the dean's list. Now, this was a kid that hated college. That was not his thing. And now his goal is to come out and use the GI Bill and work to the best of his ability.
Oh, good. See, so it's worked for him. It's great.
Yeah.
So talk to us about Military Awareness Day, which is November 2nd. It's at Crossgates. But what is that all about? And what are you trying to do with that day?
So this came about when the town of Gilliland allowed us to do the hometown hero banners. When they said, okay, we've seen in Rensselaer and we've seen in Cohasum and some of the outlying areas that they did these military events. When we went forward and we did this event, the 28 banners for the town of Gilliland, that's when all of this really started coming into play. All of the folks that I've met throughout the years have definitely got more involved. And then we brought the Vietnam Wall in, and just the outpouring locally. You could see that everybody did want to do more. So when we were discussing what we're going to do when we're going to take the banners down and how we're going to retire them and do some type of retirement ceremony to honor these folks, that's when Crossgates came into play and said, you know what, we would love to put up some of the banners. So from there, I'm like, well, hey, would you mind giving me them all for the day? And we can do a small, do a service. So from there, it worked from being a small, intimate service with the families to becoming this first and once of a lifetime type of thing. The purpose of this event is to touch all military, past, present, and future.
Okay.
So by seeing my boys deployed, their families, all the relationships that I've made throughout the years, all of the folks that served years ago, you get a really good grasp of what these folks and what their families gave up. So it's not only the service members, it's the wives they leave behind, the children, the girlfriends, the moms, the dads. There were resources out there for so many folks. So the thought came, let's pool all of the resources. We'll do it in a very public place. So if folks do want to come and seek out a service, they don't feel like they're also under the red light of, hey, you know, I'm walking into the VA and everybody must know I need something or I want something. When we did the event over at Taos Center Park, when we brought the wall in, there is a traveling vet center. It's a huge Winnebago. It travels all up and down the coast and offers free counseling to any service member or their family. So at the event, there was a gentleman there that came out many, many years ago and would not speak to anything about anything that he had seen, been involved in. All we knew was that he was a Marine, and that was it. So at the end of the service for the opening of the wall, he decided to take a walked into this Winnebago, sat there for 3 hours with somebody and
talked.
It was unbelievable. So we ran into his wife and his daughter, and they, after the fact, and they explained what a huge difference this made in their life, that he finally did open up.
Sure, that he could talk. He felt like he could talk.
So that's really where the whole thing came from. If we can put everybody that offers resources, services for anything, for people that are looking to go into the service, for people that are in the service, deploying, active duty, we can put them all in one spot.
That's great. So that way people, and it's free, it's open to the public,
Correct.
but it's an open event in the mall where they can come in and actually walk around and, you know, stop at these different stations, so to speak, the tables, and talk to people about the various things that are available. I mean, I realize when I talk to people all the time, a lot of people don't know what is actually out there for not just the veterans, but for the families, you know, that are left behind, but the, you know, like the widows and all. There are services available. You just have to know where to go to get them.
Correct. And this is the reason why we wanted to put everybody under one roof. What blew my mind is my boys went in 3.5 years ago, and I've met so many people, but I didn't realize how many people didn't know each other.
Right.
So I would go over to the county and I would meet with Ken, and then I would go over to Blue Star. I'd go over to Marine Corps League. I would go to the VA, and I would speak about other people in the community, and they would say, well, who is that? So the purpose, when the first meeting we had that we formed this little committee, it blew my mind that none of them had known each other. And I'm like, how do you not know each other?
Right.
Like, I know you all, and you're all leaders in the community. You're all doing something amazing that touches military culture. How have you not met? So they sat and they shook hands, and within the first 5 minutes of the meeting, they completely bonded.
Sure.
And it was one of the best meetings I've ever attended. So that's the whole reason. And you know, it's the whole culture.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, I think what has happened in the years, you know, like years up until now and recently, everybody had their own piece of territory. And everyone stayed within their own territory because nobody wanted to walk into someone else's territory because, you know, we're all territorial. You know, I do this and I do that. But what was happening is that there was no crossover where someone, you know, you may have provided one piece of the situation, but you know, because you weren't communicating with somebody else, that other piece was lacking. Whereas there has been a change now in the veterans service community where people realize they refer each other, you know, refer veterans from one to another. There's not so much of that, you know, I'm marking my territory. It's now, okay, so I recognize a vet who could use this. I'm going to send them to that area and that area. So I think we're seeing a lot of change in the last 5 years, you know, from what we have had in the past with the whole veterans community. So it's great. So your event is also doing that. It's reaching out, you know, to people and saying, hey, it's okay to work together.
I completely agree. And that was the purpose of this, is it has nothing to do with, well, you know, I have no financial gain to this.
Right.
I'm the president of
You're
the
like
chamber.
the coordinator. You're bringing everybody together.
But this is really something that I want to do for all of the folks that I have met, is
Sure.
to put them together under one roof to meet, to find out the resources. We've gotten a lot of businesses involved, too, to help create an awareness factor. 2 weeks ago, there was a gentleman that came up from the Marines that was down in Lejeune with my son that wound up coming up here that had a wife, a 5-month-old, a car with horrible wheels on it. But what he did was he put all of his money, I think they had $700. They put it into this car. They bought the car. They drove it up here because he wanted to get them away from the hurricane. So when they show up on a friend's doorstep, and she calls me, and just, for no reason at all, I'm just the military mom kind of person. And she's like, listen, the tires are horrible. We need to put better tires on their car. Can you help me? One phone call. We called Denoyer, and Joel immediately said, send them in. We'll put brand new tires on it. No questions asked. And I mean, these poor kids, he was a Lance Corporal. So he makes literally nothing.
That's right.
Like, honestly, he could work at McDonald's, and you would make more working at McDonald's than you do there.
And he had a family. Because I mean, we had him at the VMC come over, and we talked to them, and did some of the stuff that they needed. But I mean, I think that's what people need to understand. Nowadays, yes, working at McDonald's or some other place, they're making more money than these guys that are serving our nation.
Yes.
And yet, a lot of these young guys that go in, they do have families. So now all of a sudden, how do they deal with? Geez, I've got to provide for my family, but yet I still have to protect this nation. So, by, having events such as the Military Awareness Day, this now, family members can go and say, hey, wait a second, there are other options for me. I can use this service, or I can do that. Like the GI Bill, there's so much confusion over the GI Bill that a lot of people don't understand that. So this is all good, that it's out there and kind of explaining to people, okay, you're doing this, but yet here's what we're giving you because you're doing that.
And it's a support system for everybody. So you think of the spouses. So you have somebody that goes, your husband joins, he goes into the service active. Now, as a spouse, you're traveling around. You have no way of putting roots anywhere. So how do you, first of all, like social life is interesting, but how do you make money? How do you have a job when every 6 months?
Because you're a temporary resident, basically.
Yeah, you don't belong anywhere.
Yeah.
So now they're trying to work on actually putting into play jobs that would travel with the spouses, which is genius.
Yes, absolutely, at this point. I mean, that's a great point because, being an Army brat or Marine Corps brat, whatever, you understand that the family does transition on a regular basis. So nowadays when you go for a job, someone's not going to invest, a business owner doesn't want to invest their time and their money in training you for a position only for you to leave 2 or 3 months later.
True.
So how does that happen? So it's almost like that's a black mark or a red mark at this point, on you because you're married to someone who's in the military, but yet it shouldn't be that way.
True. Very true.
Yeah, it shouldn't be that way. We're looking at the number of kids that are contemplating, signing up and what the recruiters are doing because things have changed over the years. We are still, it's 18 years and we're still in a war. And so our numbers are down for the number of kids that are actually joining, because of that. And because, like you just pointed out, the discrepancy in the amount of money that they get, whereas somebody can go through school and come out, with a degree in computers.
True.
Right, out of college, out of high school, and making all kinds of money, whereas a guy that's, a Lance Corporal is making squat. So we have to find a way to get people to understand that, how that works.
Well, I think it starts earlier in the stages, too. When kids go to college, when you're in high school, not every child is fit. Not every child is looking to go to college.
Right, that's right.
So they strong arm you, the counselors at school. So, we go in and we say, we're going to pick a community college. We're going to do two years. Oh, no, well, pick a reach school. Well, what if the plan is right now to go to Hudson Valley for 2 years and not have a lot of debt?
Sure.
But they would continue to push and push and push you to grab like 2 or 3 schools. And it didn't matter. Nobody spoke about budget.
Really?
Nobody
Didn't
said,
matter.
well,
Okay.
did not. There was not one question about, well, how much do you have? I'm saying Hudson Valley, and they're saying, well, you could go to Cornell, you could go to RPI.
Well, there's
it's
a
like,
huge
who's going to pay for this?
Yeah, right. Huge difference in price. Yeah. Now, when did your boys know they wanted to go into the military? What happened?
Well, the older one, oddly enough, he started Hudson Valley, and then his mailman actually was a Marine, and he was a man's man kind of guy, and my husband and him, my son and him connected, and that was it. He was like, you want to be a man, go be a Marine. all right. So the next thing you know, Christian's going to be a Marine.
Right, he signs up.
So he went all for it. And
Yeah.
then when the younger one decided he wanted to go military, he was like, yeah, no, I'm not going Marines. And I'm like, no, I get it. You've seen a lot and you've talked to your brother.
Right.
But what we did was we went to all of the branches. You want to make a choice? Then good. Go interview
check them all
everybody.
out.
Go
Sure.
talk to them all. And I know recruiters don't like hearing that. It's like, yep, we've hit every branch today and we're going to talk to you.
Sure.
But he made an informed decision. So your failure rate is super low. So
Yeah.
just as a parent is looking at putting your child in college, and you do all this work, all this research, you go on college visits, you make weekends of it.
Oh, yeah.
You do
It's a
all
big
of
deal.
this for your child to go to college, and really you don't know what happens beyond that. Do the same thing with the military. In my opinion, it's if they want to make it, then good, give them the choices. And bringing this awareness day into play, hopefully will
It makes it easier. Yeah.
You can go ask a recruiter.
Go
and you
from
don't-
one to another and compare.
We did
Yeah.
one day with my son.
Did
He was
you?
like, he wanted to die. I'm like, okay, now go into the Air Force. Now we're going into the Army. Because Mom, everybody's going to see us. And I'm like, well, you can ask questions. We're not,
Yeah.
you're not hiding anything.
Yeah, why wouldn't you though? Because I mean, as you pointed out, you do the same thing to go into college.
Same thing.
You want to make sure that the fit is right, and you're getting what you want. So yeah, good for him. I think it's fantastic, to see this and to first of all see how well you have adopted and adapted, because you have
Yeah.
adopted, all these Marines. I've seen the things you've done with them, so I know that, and now you're hooked in the Air Force with it, which is great. It becomes a whole family thing. It's not just that person, as you pointed out. I mean, this is a whole family deal that's going on. Everybody's invested.
All of the
in it.
dynamics completely changed in the culture
Grandma
of
and
how we
Grandpa.
do everything.
Yeah,
My
everybody.
parents are loud and proud. They
Oh,
have
yeah.
Marine stuff and Air Force stuff everywhere, on the car, on the house.
Yeah.
Daily, my father will pick one of the branches to wear, and it's a hat and a T-shirt.
His
and-
wardrobe depends
Yeah.
on his grandson.
Exactly. It has
Yeah.
all to do with the military branches.
Right.
But it definitely did change our outlook. It did change our lifestyle. It changed how we look at things. So here I only had my older one home for 2 weeks this year. Mm-hmm. We missed him for a few holidays, but you know what? When I did have him home, it was absolutely amazing.
Yeah, sure. It was great. Well, I mean, you also wear another hat, and I want to talk about that, about the other hat that you wear, which is the president of the Guilderland Chamber, and what's happening in Guilderland, because Guilderland seems to be a very active part of the Capital District, and it has been for a while. It's like, but for a while it seemed like Colony had a leg up on you guys, but now it's not that way anymore. Now it seems like Guilderland is really going all out, and so it seems like Guilderland is a place to be.
Nice.
This is Talk 1300 and 98.7.
All right, so we're back. We're in the studio with Viola-Straight, who is the president of the Guilderland Chamber. So I was just razzing her about Guilderland and the changes in Guilderland that's been going on. We talked about Military Awareness Day, which is actually November the 2nd, and it's at Crossgates Mall. But I wanted to pick her brain about what was going on in Guilderland, because there's always something going on. It's very busy now in Guilderland, isn't
It's
it?
a happening little place. It really was. It's for many years. I mean, it's a super stable community. Great folks. The mall has made a lot of changes. A lot of small businesses have changed too. I think the change in leadership too with the chamber has made a bit of a difference. Instead of somebody that's preaching to the choir about businesses, when I was first hired as the chamber president, I owned the Route 20 Cafe.
Right. You were in business.
I
Yeah.
was in business 7 days a week. I'd
Yeah.
be in the back cook. I would cook every day from 6 a.m. and I was there till 7 at night. Be at Restaurant Depot at 8 at night or 4 in the morning, one or the other. So I think everybody was very receptive to that. That it's I don't just talk the talk. I walk it too.
Yeah.
So I know what it's like and I know the challenges. The area has done a lot. Peter Barber is a great supervisor. He does a lot for the town, very community involved. The mall has made a lot of changes because they're doing more of a destination than a shopping destination anymore.
So that's like with the hotel. I mean, that's the reason why they put the hotel there, so it'd be a
Correct.
little bit different. Okay.
So that hotel has two separate sides. One is a longer stay, the home suites, and then the other side is True, which is more of it's a really cool kind of dorm feel with eggs hanging from the ceiling. You can sit and swing, and it looks like a college dorm, the one
Did
side.
you know that?
Yeah. It's super cool.
Yeah. Oh, that's neat. So that's like a huge change, I think.
It did.
Yeah,
It has
going
changed a
through that.
lot.
Yeah, and I got a note from somebody. They want to know, do you know anything about when they're going to clean up that mess outside of Stuyvesant Plaza? Why does it always flood?
I know. I would love to know the answer for that one. But basically, you get a Nixle alert that every storm that there is a closure right there.
Yeah.
So that's a great question. I know they just did blacktop everything, so I don't know if that changed anything.
I don't know. That seems to be the issue. People, because it screws up Fuller Road and everything. Why don't they fix that? Because it's been going on for so long, and it seems like every time we get a lot of rain, there's that little bit of a swamp that happens, in that area, and people have to go through it. Yeah. So let's give them the final information about the Military Awareness Day.
Sweet.
If you want to do that, and how many groups you have coming, and what can they expect, and from what time to what time?
All right. So it's going to be November 2nd from 9:30 till 4.
Okay.
9:30 we're going to do a kickoff event. Right now I have 55 vendors that are going to be tabled.
That's
and
good.
I'm looking at, I haven't really pushed it a lot, but I'm looking at probably like 70 to 80 vendors. 10:30 is when the Albany County will be doing their event along with us, and that'll be by the Lord and Taylor portion of the mall.
Okay.
And that'll be the National Honor a Living Veteran Program, where
Very
they
nice.
honor 4 veterans that are local and still living. One of the veterans that we're honoring is actually on one of the banners for the town that we're going to put up.
Oh, very nice.
Longtime family. Everybody knows him. Super nice guy. He's also one of the mall walkers in the morning. So,
he does? He's a mall walker?
He's a mall walker.
Nice.
So there's 3 Joes. They're called the 3 GI Joes. And this gentleman is one of them. So we're ecstatic to have him there as well. So during the day, we'll have seminars. Tully Rickney, Mario Cometti is going to bring in attorneys, and we're going to put them into a storefront, and they will do free legal counseling for any military person or their family that day.
Oh, that's great. That's huge.
Great way of getting folks out, ask questions, sit with somebody that can give you advice on what you need to do. So there'll be every type of service. There'll be active branches there. There's going to be services and resources for families, for folks deploying, for folks that are looking to transition out and possibly go down the GI Bill road, take advantage of that. So anything and everything will be touched by that community, as well as a lot of the amazing supporters that we have. The Marine Corps League, Blue Star Mothers, Gold Star Mothers, AMVETS, VFWs, Toys for Tots, of course, is going to be there.
All
Great
right.
time to come out and meet them.
And can you bring a toy that day?
Yes, I will make
by all
room.
means, bring a toy.
Yes.
Good, you got it. Good. All right, so that is November 2nd. It's Military Awareness Day. It's at Crossgates Mall. It's from 9:30 till 4. Check it out. I want to thank Michelle Straight for coming in today. It was good having you in.
Thank you kindly.
Oh, absolutely. Okay, we got to run. We'll be back tomorrow. We'll talk to you right here tomorrow at 11 on Talk 1300 and 98.7 FM.
This is WGDJ, Rensselaer, and W254DA, Albany, the Capital District's talk radio on Talk 1300 and 98.7 FM.